realized I totally screwed up with my main character, which is the Black Mage. Don't panic! Don't panic! Don't panic! Oh, they've all left. They've all left me alone. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back as we are continuing our investigation of other jobs, other classes in Final Fantasy XIV, and this is one that I have stumbled on because I really want a healer. I want to be able to try out healing in FF14 and see what it's like. I've done a little bit of tanking, but low level, so there's still a long way to go on that. But I am choosing my classes so far based on story. That's it. That's how I'm starting, because there's a lot of classes in FF14, and I'm choosing mine based on the story prospects that I might get out of them. So when it came to our tank, that has been told to me to have a fantastic story, and it does. It's basically you are Batman. It's really fun. I mean, it's not even basically that. You are Batman. It's very edgy. It's very silly. It's a lot of fun. But when it came to the healer, I had a million suggestions. Every single person favored their particular favorite, and a lot of the stories were really good. But one of the things I bumped into in Final Fantasy XIV that I've enjoyed immensely as a really silly and fun character are the Tonberries. I wonder if I can whip it out here. Can I whip out my Tonberry for you guys? Probably. Where is he? There he is. Is this little fella with a shank and a lantern. And the reason I like this guy, I can't summon him here, that's fair. The reason I like this guy was purely because there's a dungeon, which I would like to show you at some point, that just has one of these dudes just kind of wandering around, or a giant one of them, like a huge one. And if you walk near him, he just stabs you. And it just made me laugh so much, because they're big, doddery, silly things wandering around with big, giant knives ready to kill you. So I am playing, and the reason I chose this one to show you today is... especially, once again, I will reference a lot of things for our World of Warcraft fans out there, this is an Arcanist. But it's not really. In fact, I've had to stop leveling. I just dinged level 32 on this thing, and I kind of had to stop leveling because something kind of cool is about to happen. If you play an Arcanist, as you'll see, I'm DPSing. I'm not healing. You're right. This thing now will turn into a healer, but what happens with the Arcanist is this is one of the original jobs, the original classes, which means it starts at level 1. So I have had to do some leveling to get up here. I know you're probably wondering what you're even doing, Mike, and I'll explain that shortly. But what happens at level 30 is this class then breaks. The Arcanist, I believe this is what's going to happen, all right? I believe, well, what's going to happen is this class is going to break into a choice of 2 classes. And the Arcanist itself, which is what I started up, will cease to exist. Now, something happens similarly with my mage. I call it a black mage, that's what I'm playing. But originally, it actually started as, I believe, a mage or a thaumaturge, something along those lines. And then when I got level 30, I got the option to then change to different classes, and that class would then cease to exist. So I believe that's what's going to happen. So what I actually have, and what I've been playing with for the last 30 levels, which have been very quick to level up, is a combination of both. As you can see, I have DPS spells, but I also have a healing spell. Not a particularly great one, called Physic. So I can throw out some heals. I also have Resurrection. I have Combat Res. Well, it's just Res, but you can use it in combat. So I have access to these abilities, and when I decide what to do at level 30, which is what I'm about to do, I will lose a lot of what I have as I then focus on what I want this character to be. Now, I want this character to become a Scholar. That's going to be the healing setup that I'm going with. I'm not playing particularly well because I'm talking to you guys, but I'll explain the class in a minute. The alternative I could go with is actually a Summoner. So this class will break and diverge into 2. I believe, I believe the Arcanist will then cease to exist. It won't exist anymore. And this character will either be able to be a Summoner or a Scholar, depending on what I want it to be, which is great. Right, so for leveling, essentially what I'm saying to you in a nutshell is by leveling this up, I'm leveling 2 classes simultaneously, and then they will diverge, and I get to pick and choose where I want it to go from there, which is all pretty good. So, what is this character about? Well, basically, because it will become those 2 classes, it is a combination of both. I have a summon. You see this little creature? Hello. This is it's very cutesy, it's very Eevee. It is called a Carbuncle. And Carbuncle is my summoned creature. Now, I'm led to believe that this creature has gone under some changes recently. It used to be more like a hunter pet and would go and attack. I, in fact, have a stance bar here. You see this here? Where I can put some basic controls on this thing. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack with this one base spell called Ruin. And I'm going to use a spell called Aerothurge that charges up my carbuncle. You see this icon here? But you can also see it's got a countdown. Now, what this does is it's made my Ruin hit much harder. But when this runs out, I'm actually going to unlock the ability to change carbuncle into different things. So watch, this runs out, and then these two light up. So I can create an emerald carbuncle or a ruby carbuncle. So if I summon an emerald carbuncle, you can see these two spells have lit up. Now, they're very simple. They're either AoE spells or single target spell. There's nothing too complicated here. And when those charges run out, I can then summon the ruby carbuncle. You'll notice under the icon I have two. That means I can use two spells with the ruby empowerment that do different things. So, for example, the Emerald Carbuncle gives me 4 instant cast spells. Now, this is where I realized I totally screwed up with my main character, which is the Black Mage. My Black Mage, from what I can now gather after playing a couple of different classes, is the most immobile class in the game. And I'm a moron for picking that because everything I've learned since then is that most of the other jobs and classes in the game have huge amounts of mobility. I guess we're just killing the boss here. Have huge amounts of mobility. So now, once I got my Emerald Card, look, I can run around all day and do this with my Emerald Carbuncle. I can just run around. And in fact, even if I switch to Ruby, I have another spell called Swift Cast, which makes my next spell cast instant. So I can pair that up with Ruby, so I only have one casted spell with my Ruby. And the other one that locks Earth, which I have played with in a system I really want to show you guys, for those of you who haven't seen it. You'll actually, in fact, notice I have the other spell on my bars, Summon Topaz, which is the middle one that's currently missing. But I've played with it. I have played with it in a very quick and easy fashion to get a feel for this class's spec, which is something they allow you to do, which is really cool. On top of that, I have this other spell here called Energy Drain. And when I press that, it does a little bit of damage, but you can see these two things light up. These are extra instant cast spells that I can use. So I can mix all these in. And in fact, one of the things I'm really learning with FF is the difference between combos. So one of the biggest horror stories, or propagandas, I should say, that gets said about Final Fantasy is the super long global cooldown. Yes! There is a very long global cooldown in Final Fantasy. However, what people fail to mention is they add in very regularly spells that are off the global cooldown that you actually use while your global cooldown is resetting, which creates some very fast-paced gameplay. And the Energy Drain mixed with these two charges is exactly what that is. So I'm going to show you a little example of that shortly as we do a little bit of AoE here. I'm going to show you exactly what that's all about in a few moments. But I was a little, I'm not going to lie, as easy as this spec is, I definitely thought, at first I was like a little overwhelmed. I was like, okay, so I have 3 summons, and then I have to power up. But essentially what they've done is broke it down. I imagine most people consider this to be one of the easiest specs, especially if you played the Summoner, which would continue to play similarly to how I'm playing right now. Is that, in fact, it's very easy to play. So, watch this. I'll show you the next one. You see I've got one of these charges left. Right, watch on this. So I'm going to cast Ruin here. And then you'll see my global cooldown continues. You can see the way I can fire off spells in between that. That's exactly what I'm talking about with, I believe they refer to it as spell weaving. I've seen it called a number of different things in my chat who've been trying to educate me on this stuff. But it does allow you to have all these extra abilities to use in between that global cooldown. So I was certainly led to believe, as I'm sure many of you were as well, that the whole game just has this ludicrous, massive global cooldown. I think I did something wrong. I don't remember many of these bosses. These are very old bosses. Oh, people are supposed to help me here. All right, I'll kill it myself. It's fine. I know that I was supposed to kill that bubble myself. I was bubbled. Well, that's okay. That's okay. I'm a noob. I'm a noob in these dungeons. I did them once when I was leveling a long time ago. So, remembering the mechanics exactly. I will help with your bubble, though, friend. How's that? There you go. See, I helped my friend with his bubble. just spread out a bit here because he's clearly AoEing the group. So we don't want that to be a problem. Oh, that's a dragon that's just shown up. Okay, sure. Whatever you say, game. I'll deal with it. Let's get our Ruby Carbuncle out, and then let's use our instant cast spell. So we only actually have to cast one spell. I can also use that instant cast with any spell I want. I can use it with res or whatever to make that happen. But I think it was really cool that you got you're leveling 2 at once. Makes life much easier because one thing they do is when they add new jobs and classes to the game, whenever that expansion was to drop and whatever the level cap was previously, the character just starts there. Like, only the very original, I think, again, take it with a pinch of salt, I'm still learning. I'm now having the time to dig into these systems. I think that only the classes and jobs that came with A Realm Reborn, like the start of the game, actually start at level 1, which this one did. The character I played in the last video, the Dark Knight, excuse me, started at level 30. So I was able to skip over a lot of the stuff I've done now, which in some ways is great. I got to bypass that. You can see my Emerald abilities are instant cast, including my empowered AoE. Whereas if I get my use my instant cast AoE on the Ruby, and now I will have one casted Ruby to go along with this. But I could throw in some I could throw in my little quick spells here as well alongside that, which is great. So yeah, that starts at level 30 and we'll just go straight on. Essentially, so if you wanted to try a new, if you were excited for a new class to come out, like the Dark Knight, you wouldn't have to like start from scratch and miss out on the new content. So there are several jobs you're going to play. They're just going to start flat out at different levels. Oh, we're at the last boss already. Interesting. Okay, cool. This is a nice quick dungeon. Very cool. But I did want to talk about the Palace of the Dead. So I'm learning what are the efficient ways of leveling. I still have that in my soul as to I want to level efficiently. I don't like wasting my time. Thank you for waiting, everybody. Thank you. I'm going to say thank you to the guys, because waiting for someone to watch the video is nice. Thank you. Say thank you. Let's keep that non-toxic vibe going, shall we? Let's get our empowered Aerithurge up so we can pump. So I've been looking at what the most efficient ways are. A lot of people have told me different things depending on what you're doing. They still have that same thing of, if you're a tank or healer, dungeon spam is pretty goddamn effective. However, if you're a DPS, there's a lot more of the DPS out there in the world, and you're going to be having much longer queues unless you're with friends, which is not unsurprising, but that is the nature of the beast. And one of the ways I've tried is one of the systems they put in called the Palace of the Dead. Now, the reason I went to check this place is for the story. Shockingly, there's a story of a character I was very, very interested in that was part of the main story quest in A Realm Reborn. And then they used that character I think it was a very well-liked character by a lot of the players. So they put that character into the Palace of the Dead and gave that character more story for people to have some closure on, which was really cool. Like, no, I'm very happy they did that, and I've been playing through that a little bit. But the Palace of the Dead, for all intents and purposes, is Torghast. Don't panic! Don't panic! Don't panic! It's Torghast. But what you can do is go in there at level 1 on a fresh character, so a character you just made. You can go in there at level 1, and what they do is they give you level brackets for every 10 levels, up to 200, I believe. Goes up to 200. But they speed level you in there. So in those 10 levels, which might take you 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, your character will gain essentially fake levels up to level 10. If you do the floors from 10 to 20, your character will get to level 20. And they will give you all that class's spells to go along with that. Yeah, they give you all that class's spells. Now, when you come out, you will get a chunk of XP for finishing your 10 floors, obviously. You will get a chunk of XP for that, but you will then be back to, you know, the level you went into the palace with. So, a simple way of saying it is, I could go in at level 15, and I can, inside the Palace of the Dead, I can level up to, say, level 20. Or level 30, or level 40. And I will get all that class's spells all the way up to that point. But when I come out, I will gain a chunk of XP, so I might level to like level 17. And that's why I have the spells on my bars. GG, team. That was really nice. Oh, they've all left. They've all left me alone. Okay. Alright, that was a nice quickie. And I just get the loot, because everybody's left. Did I get an upgrade? Mayhaps. Did I get an upgrade to go along with this? I have been looking for... I did! Oh, excellent. I got a new weapon, actually. The weapon for this character is a book. I got a new book. I have now reached the prestigious item level of 28. To go along my... Next to my item level 530 Black Mage and my level 30 Dark Knight. But now I have the prestigious level 29. Item level 28. Super duper. But I love this. I really like this idea of... oh, we're at our free company house. This is our guild house, by the way, for those of you who've never seen what the guild houses look like. This is ours. It is representing the mighty Que, the superior chicken, as you can see on the shirt. PreachGaming.com. Go and get yourself a shirt, because they're really cool. There's going to be lewd stuff going on in here. There's all... Even though they know I'm not coming, there'll be something happening. Oh, they're just... This is the guild. They're chilling. They're chilling on a nice Saturday afternoon, which is great. They're having a little relaxing time. They're actually setting something up. Aquaman. Very cool. Very cool to Aquaman. But, yeah, I'm not allowed downstairs. You can see they've blocked it off, so I have no access. And they've also blocked off the upstairs for redecoration. The Free Company house is used for... It's used for a lot of, like, little roleplay the guys do. They built a courtroom to put me on trial. They also built a cannibalistic Holocaust ghost house for everybody to chill. But, yeah, this is where people come and chill out and chit-chat rather than being, you know, just a guild chat. They'd like to come here even on the weekend and chill. As you can see, they're just chitting. My bars are falling apart and talk about spells and stuff. Either way, that's what I'm talking about. So, my Arcanist now, I'm going to wave bye-bye to this character in an interesting way, because I have now to choose, and this will become my healer. So I think you guys should stay tuned, because the next time we see each other, I'm going to be doing some healing. I'm going to be trying out FF's healing for the very first time and see what that's like. Going to be fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and some more information put out to you guys. I'm going to be digging into every single system in FF14 to find out what's under the hood. It's time to lift the hood and see what's going on with things. So until then, I'll see you again. Bye, everybody.